Now, going deeper into the tanks, of this pit and tank, we look whether this septic tank, whether it has a lining inside or not. Yeah, this number that you see here, 78%. 35% of them has some sort of lining, and the other one, 65% doesn't have the lining. So that definition that doesn't fall into the category of septic tank. And so that was about the storage part. Now moving on to how often do people empty this pit and tank? Right? Again, across the country, there are all kinds of opinion on that. As per the regulation, we should be, depending on the size, at least once in 3 to 5 years. So what we have seen in Devanahalli is that 44% have never discharged, because septic tank size is so big that we didn't have to discharge. Then another 40% said they have not in the last 5 years, and then only 16% have discharged in the last 5 years. So conclusion is that although you're supposed to be discharging every 3 years, what is really happening is that you're not really discharging unless and until it fills and creates a lot of problems for you, then you go and do it. So one of our endeavor now in Devanahalli is that we do a scheduled discharging. Before the problem happens, the problem occurs, go discharge. So that just putting these two facts together, on the one hand you have a large number of pits, septic tank without a line, and then you do not discharge as much as you should. So as a result, the most sewage sits either on the ground or just overflows. So that creates public health issues or environmental problems. Now that was for us an attempt to understand the magnitudes of the problem there. And then we started now looking into solution. And for a solution, important is the access to the pits and tank. If these pit and tanks are not easily accessible, then the whole discharging will become very difficult. So we looked at the location of the septic tank, and in the location what we found was, number one, 41% of the household had their pits and tank in the front of the house. That's kind of good news for us, because it's easy to go, accessibility is not really a big issue, although it's an issue. Another 7% toilet usually was either not really in the middle of the house and sort of on the side of the house. So either side of the house had toilet, and next to that was the septic tank. Even access to that was also not really a problem from the location perspective, but it was mostly covered. So again, when filled, the breaking up and all that was a big issue. I think because of this, perhaps in Devanahalli, we looked at how much discharging the truck do in a day. And we found out that in a day, on average, 1 to 2. Yeah. So that's really a low number. A truck can actually do easily 10 to 12, up to, say, even 15 to 20, if you really do a scheduled discharging. And if you have a very sort of cap on each septic tank, just open it with the pipe, go to the next. Right now, the amount of time the trucks spend in front of each septic tank is lost, and they spend a lot of time there. Then going toward the most difficult part, behind the house. Now the pipe has to fall, the suction becomes more difficult, and here is less difficult. In a place like Shimla in the mountain region, is really hundreds of meters deep. So the suction pump doesn't even work. Even in this kind of situation, we have difficulty because it has too much of transportation. Then another 3% has under toilets and below toilets. So below toilet one is really, really, really difficult and excessive. So work in Devanahalli is just a start. On to the future, Government of India, Government of Karnataka will have to think about not just say that we build a septic tank, and also think about the location of septic tank, and also the lid, the cover of septic tank, access part of it also need to be looked into. Any questions so far?
What kind of lining those 35% households had? Told they had lining, proper lining of septic tank.
Yes.
What kind of lining was it?
I would pass on that question to Ravi.
So few had just the concrete ones, sir, and few are plastering with PCC, and few are just lining with some rocks. I mean brick bags and other things.
Is it okay with the plaster lining?
I mean that's how the standards have said.
It's again dependent on that what kind of a structure do you put. Plastering is just to cover. For example, if you put a concrete or a brick, you're not supposed to directly expose for that. You put a cement actually. So only putting a cement actually the fecal sludge is so strong it may actually peel that out actually. So not really safe.
Can I ask a question? Is the bottom also sealed or is only the side rings are there?
Yeah, a few are I mean the lining is bottom have different kind of forms as it were. Some have
No,
concrete.
I'll be the culprit here. I built probably about 2,000 more than the toilets when the Vimukti program started in South India. We used to build it, we got the design from UNDP, we used to build a brick honeycomb masonry without any plastic because we wanted to leach to the ground. That was the very purpose of the toilet. We used to have a twin pit toilet, that was the design given at the time. We built probably thousands of them across the states. And later on, people started feeling all the pain. Honestly, there was no space for the putting two pits. So what they simply, market went and controlled it. They simply use cement rings, but they don't bottom seal it. The bottom is still leaches into the ground. So my question was whether we call it line, but is it also bottom sealed or it is bottom still open?
No, only 35% of them are bottom some kind of a lining.
They are also bottom sealed. That's why my question.
And we don't really know whether it's sealed or not.
Exactly.
We were told
I
that it is sealed
will try to discover
because
this.
there is no way to do that. And then even for the kind of pit that you are mentioning, over the time if you don't dislodge, then it's become like a lining, become hardened, then water doesn't seep in, and so on and so forth.
They don't bottom seal.
Any other question?
No, I will clarify, Anand. So lining doesn't mean it is watertight. If something is there, that's all. So when we went for that dual pit water seal latrines, the purpose was to see that the supernatant liquid either through the side wall or to the bottom will seep into the ground, and there's some standards are there to keep it at a safe distance of water source. But here it's not in this case. Here they will collect it for some time and then pick it up. So whatever they have studied is, there is some lining, that's all. Lining doesn't mean it's watertight.
Yes.
Mostly it is not watertight, as far as I know, my knowledge goes. Only thing is it's a container, they want a container, they want to pick it up periodically. There they have shown never, for 917, they have never removed it. In my home village, 34 years we have not removed it.
We also, I never dislodged it.
So that's
I
why.
saw a suction tank in my life in Bangalore.
Okay.
So whether that is a problem or not, then depends on many factors. One of the most important factors is the underground water level. And just for your information, Malik sir, under the Amrut project, tried for one of the town that every septic tank is built scientifically, and then also dislodging is scheduled, and then also propose a treatment. So really a good example for country. It was about 60 crore rupees project, passed many stages, then at one level you face a problem at another. So we will continue to try to create one example in a country. Some other time we will have one. With that, my survey result is done. And if I would go further, then I would preempt some of the slides presentation that my colleague have to do it later. And Chief Guest is still not here. So what I propose now is that we use this time for a quick round of introduction. Yes. So I'll start from myself. My name is Stanton. I work for Boda, partner of CBD in this project. Personally come from place called North India, and in Bangalore for the last 6 years, and learned a few Kannada words. The most famous one is Chennai. So, because Malik sir, if you could just few words about yourself and then pass on. Is there a mic, please? Maybe?
Okay, I can speak.
Please, sir.
My name is Malik. I have worked in Karnataka Urban Water Supply and Drainage Board for almost 34 years. I retired just 1 month back. I was involved indirectly with this project because we have taken up one pilot project for World Health Organization regarding the modifications or additions, alterations required for a manual which recommends use of silage growing the, it doesn't recommend actually, what are the safety factors you have to see so that even the users and the handlers should not get infected. So along with that, this project was also going on parallelly, so I am here in this. Of course, my input is may not be very much here, but one project I did sincerely tried under Amrut to get up this because where there is no sufficient water and sufficient money to provide our underground drainage plus treatment plants. But ultimately, technically it's okay, but when it comes to political decision, then why do you think Robertson put as second-rate citizens? Why can't you go for a sewage network and then STPs? Then ultimately, with this 60 crores, we could have covered the entire city. But with that available money under Amrut, we are covering only about 40% of the city with network plus outfall sewer and STP. So now I am retired. So anyhow, I am involved in these projects. I am very happy to be involved in this because my MTech thesis was based on this. Mr. Anand Delcom, you took up that issue because nutrient and pathogens flow under various conditions was studied with a module which I bought from one of my guides from Canada. That was very successful. And one of my juniors who is working as a head of the department took it as a PhD project and got his PhD. But somewhere down the line, I don't see any literature further on that from the last 15-20 years. So depending upon the availability of the money and acceptance of the people, we can go for this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello everyone, I am Abhay Kumar, Environmental Engineer, Kalburgi Mahanagara Palike, that is Gulbarga Corporation. And I look into our solid waste management of our city, and we are planning for one of the Faecal Sludge Treatment Plant for our city. And we have hired CDD as our consultant for that. They are preparing a DPR along with us. And thank you.
My name is Krishna. I'm from a company called Camavida. We make these desludging equipment. We have more than about 10,000 machines working in India. Typically, some of them are government owned, sold to the civic bodies, and many are private owned. This seems to be a good model of business nowadays. So there are many people who invest in these equipment and do desludging. After desludging, where would they empty it, etc. is still a gray area. Most people quietly open manholes and flush it into it. That's not been yet captured and kind of systematized, but there's a huge opportunity here in doing what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, myself.
My name is Dr. Kenchappa. I am working as a Commissioner CMC Dodbala. Here I am just telling you the failure story of our UGD project which is going on at Dodbala block. Actually this project was taken by the KUADC, the AD Western I think. This was started about 5 years back. Basically due to not this proper planning. Earlier, it was planned for gravitation flow, then we switched on to well velocity. Since 5 years, the citizens are facing a lot of problem. The project is not yet finished. And KUFC is forcing our local body to terminate that fund and take fresh contract. With a great argument with KUFC, I took some alternative decision. Now I got a local civic contractor. The enemy of the problem with discussion with the KDFC. I am just trying to finish that project in 20 days. I don't know how we will succeed. Actually, nearly 10% of the manuals are overflowing. In addition to this KDFC, they called for an NGO to give household connections. Even though project is not yet finished, serious flow is not normal. Household connections are started. So the fate of the city, how the citizens are. And for these workers, they died while cleaning the manual. Same manual actually, our engineer and myself evacuated with all precautions successfully without any deaths. Now we are planning within 20 days, we are trying to finish. But actually after observing this project, it is a little bit better instead of going for UGD. For small town, this is better. The two, where there is availability of double pit system, this is very good. I observed actually while evacuating the pits, septic pits after 4-5 months, the soil has got such a good absorbent capacity. Only very few, some ash like excreta will be left after 5 months. If we give break of just 3 months for each pit, after 4-5 months we open the pit, very small quantity of excreta we find. That is one of the peculiar absorption capacity of the soil. This project is more suited for small towns. I think. Thank you.